Did you know that from 2017 to 2020, WagerTalk charged $795 for a season of either college football or NFL? Well, we know how important our season-long customers are, and we want to increase the amount of money you save by committing a season-long package. While most of our competitors continue to raise their prices, we are doing the exact opposite. We've lowered our price for both the NFL season and the college football season to only $5.99 each. But through Sunday, August 14th, we are offering an early bird special, saving you an additional $100, making your NFL or college football season only $4.99. That's under $23 per week. Make sure to take advantage of the early bird prices before midnight, Sunday, August 14th, as they will return to the still low price of $5.99 per sport per season. You know the NFL preseason is already underway, and the college football season kicks off Saturday, August 27th. There is no coupon needed and no limit to the number of packages you can buy. Just head to your favorite handicappers page and take advantage today.
4. Hello, everyone. It is tea time from Vegas, back with the final regular season PGA Tour event of the year, the Wyndham Championship. We have the FedEx Cup playoffs on the horizon to finish out this PGA Tour season, and can't wait to get to that in the coming weeks. But this week we are talking the Wyndham. I'm Nick Borrman of WagerTalk.com. With me, as always, Andy Lang, also of WagerTalk.com, here to break down all this week's action. Andy, my friend, how are you doing? I can't wait to talk about last week because, you know, the week prior you had something happen and I had the exact opposite happen. But we'll get to that in a second. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I feel like every time we come on to do this show, it's the last month or so, it's not been a great PGA Tour field, yet there's so much news going on in the actual sport of golf that sometimes it's tough to focus on the betting aspect. But coming off another winning week, we're getting very, very close to the championship and I guess you call it the end of the season, but boy, it sure feels like the start of something as soon as this season is over with. A lot going on in golf, but that means more opportunities for us. So very excited. Got a loaded card for this week. Not a ton of plays, but the plays I do have, I really, really like. So how are you doing this week, sir?
For the viewers that don't know, I just want to say Andy has now won his 65th straight week on the PGA Tour, so make sure to follow along with Andy. Okay, whatever. It's still damn impressive. You haven't lost since like March, so kudos to you, Andy. That last week, we'll get into that as we always do. I want to start the show, as we usually do, talking about our promo for this week. Normally we do a promo for the week's event, but with just 4 events left in the season, and of course 3 of those being the playoffs, we're going to talk a multiple week package offer this time. So you can grab this week's tournament pack for just $19. No promo code needed. That's just a regular price. Andy and I have the package up for this week. You can get that at wagertalk.com, or you can grab all golf plays for the next 30 days, which takes you through the Tour Championship for just $49. So normally priced at $99. Use promo code FedEx50. You're going to save $50 off of that. So that's 4 weeks, $49, $12.50, whatever that works to a week, $12.25. It's pretty solid. That'll include any and all 5% releases that we have in there, which we have had. Both of us have had a few of them over the last couple of tournaments, and I don't think either one of us has lost those. So that's good news there. But definitely worth checking out. And that is just grab the 30-day soccer package from the golf drop-down menu, and that is $49 instead of $99. So definitely worth some value there. Andy, like we always like to do, we start off this week talking a quick recap on last week at the Rocket Mortgage. So let's talk best bets and worst bets from last week in Detroit. How'd you do, my friend? What was your best? What was your worst?
Well, I only had 2 plays and had to go with another 5% play because we'd just been rolling and we cashed it again. Had Tony Finau top 20. So that's 3 weeks in a row with 3 5% plays. That was a no sweat Finau. I think on his first hole, he was inside the top 20 and never looked back. So that was a good one. And then worst bet, My very first live tour bet, I lose. Brandon Grace over Brooks Koepka. Lose it by one shot, too. It looked so promising. Koepka was awful in his first few holes. Brandon Grace. Brandon Grace starts off with a birdie, and I think like 2 holes in, I had a 3-shot lead, and then all of a sudden Brandon Grace fell apart. It wasn't like Koepka was good or anything. He just he had a really good final day. But that was a smaller play. And as you know, Nick, whenever we have a 5% play, that is most important. So 9 weeks in a row profiting on golf and another strong play this week. So, looking really good, but really bummed I didn't hit my very first live tour. I think I already know the answer to this question, but how did you do last week? And talk to us about your best and your worst bet.
I just still want to say kudos to you on your golf run right now, because it's just super impressive. And 3 straight 5% winners each of the last 3 weeks. Myself, I only did 2 the last 3 weeks. I skipped, I guess, the 3M Open, but that's 5-0 on our 5% plays over the last 3 weeks.
Amazing.
Hopefully we can keep that going. Last week, my 5% play was my best bet, of course, and that was Patrick Cantlay to finish top 20. So you had Finau. He finished first. I had Cantlay. He was runner-up. But then my worst bet was the exact opposite of what you did. So I know last week we talked about the fact that you had a 5% play on Tony Finau over Sung Jae Im, and that was the winner over the runner-up. Very hard to do. And then we joked about, but on the other side of that plenty of times. Well, I was on the other side of that the very next week, last week in Detroit. I had Patrick Cantlay over Finau, thinking that Finau isn't, going back to back is hard. But he proved me wrong, and that guy was dead on. And he led the field, strokes gained tee to green, and he putted well again, 13th in the field. So kudos to Finau. I lost the best bet. I was right with Cantlay. I just was wrong with Finau. And I didn't expect him to have a bad week. I just didn't think he was going to win again. So what can you do? Overall, it was a break-even week for me. The 5% covered the outright plays I had for the week, which was Cantlay and Cam Young. So they back-to-back runner-up. Listen, if it wasn't for Finau, there's a good chance I'm talking about back-to-back outright wins, because I had Sung Jae last week runner-up, and I had Cantlay and Cam Young this week. So F you, Finau. F you. But I know you captured them, so I can't be too upset. Let's move on from last week. Let's get into this week at the Wyndham Championship. As we always like to do, let's take a quick look at the Who's Hot Coming In graphic. And this is, of course, the top 10 strokes gained over the last 6 months of players that are in this field. Finau, of course, was right in the heart of that graphic, ranked number 5 last week heading in. So now, Andy, that is 20 of 30 tournaments this year, minus the 3 alternate field events. So 67% of outright winners have come from within this graphic. And, really what's going on is just the long shots are just, they're long anymore. They just aren't winning like, we've seen in years past. And it's, I can't imagine it's going to be changing anytime soon. So this is your top 10. Heading into this week, you got Shane Lowry leading the way, playing the best golf over the last 6 months. Will Zalatoris, of course, Corey Connors, Horschel, HV3, and then it drops off a little bit with some of the smaller names. Sebastian Munoz, who actually has been quietly having a decent run. Taylor Pendrith, runner-up last week, played well all week long. Or actually, I think he might have fallen to third. I can't remember exactly where he finished there. Keith Mitchell, Sung Jae Im, and Aaron Wise. Aaron Wise is actually tied with Russell Henley, who had a good week last week as well. So that's 10-11. I threw in Kevin Kisner as the defending champion. And then I know who's getting a lot of attention this week, Ju Young Kim, who is plus 0.35 over the last 6 months. It's not like he's come out of nowhere. As you can see from his official world golf ranking, he's number 34 in the world. So he's been playing golf. And he is plus 1.07, number 20 in this field over the last 3 months. So I'm sure that will be somebody we will be talking about as the weeks go on. His only way into the FedEx Cup, though, of course, would be to win this event. So unlikely we see him next week, but I'm sure we'll be talking about him a lot next season as we get going. So, Andy, let's get into the tournament in the fields in the course, of course, this week. So Sedgefield Country Club is where we are heading this week. What should the viewers know about the course and about the field for the Wyndham?
Well, it's very short. It's a par 70, and it's even short for a par 70. There are trees, so you can't be too wayward with your tee shots. But I think the biggest thing for me is going to be we know they're going to go low. There are thunderstorms in the weather forecast. Now, as of now, it looks like it's going to be in the late afternoon or evening, but I would tread a little bit lightly, and maybe if you're on the fence about some of the bets, wait until you see what the weather is and see what draw your golfer has, and see if it matches up. If it does rain and it's in the night, I don't particularly see an advantage one way or the other. But if it does rain, like maybe in the mid afternoon, we could have a weather delay because they're not saying rain, they're saying thunderstorms. So if we do have any lightning or thunder, that means, the rounds may get pushed a little bit. As of now, I think the weather forecast is I think it's gonna blow by, and I don't think it's gonna have that big of an effect. But these fairways are soft. They had a lot of rain last week. The greens are going to be receptive. They're fairly big for a par 70 on this one. I'm going to be looking at approach and greens hit and regulation as my big stat, because you're not going to, it's a short course. Overpowering it, everybody can overpower it. I think most guys are going to not have too many problems with hitting fairways. So it's going to be who's going to be accurate enough. And then, of course, putting. Finau has not been the greatest putter basically his entire career, but the last couple of weeks, he's hit enough long putts and he's hit enough really good lag putts from long distance away to really save himself. And there you see a lot of guys that are putting the ball really, really well. I don't think these greens are too difficult. So a hot putter and good approaches is going to determine the winner here. You brought up a good point about long shots that, these last couple weeks, that was a prime opportunity for long shots to take advantage of weak fields. And it just hasn't come to fruition. I wouldn't really put very many of the guys up at the top as, big time long shots. So it'd be interesting to see what happens here. I expect the cream to rise to the top here on a pretty easy course, especially 1 week out of the playoffs. So what's your take on this course?
Yeah, I have to think, again, just because it's proven to be successful so far, as the best in the field tend to find a way to win come Sunday. So I'm definitely not going to venture away from that strategy. I mean, you hit the course on the head. It is short. There are 2 par 5s, both reachable by probably even you and I, but definitely everybody in this field. There are 8 par 4s that all measure under 450, which is short, of course, by PGA Tour standards. So you probably see a lot of guys don't even need a hit driver this week, which might be the strategy, because unlike last week, you could miss with the driver and still be fine. This week is a little bit tighter, but another Donald Ross course, so it's going to have those signature greens where they're small, they're fast, and they are undulating. So you got to be on the right spots there. So those approaches will be key. And 5 of the last 6 winners have come in at 21 under par or better. So no doubt this will be another shootout. When it comes to weather, I struggle with it every week, because it's like, the best weather forecast is obviously going to be, Wednesday late going into Thursday, right? But then, of course, your best betting odds are going to be on Monday or, maybe into Tuesday. So it's like, what do you do? Do you wait for the best forecast, lose some value in the bets, or do you just fire away and hope for the best? So it's a tough strategy, tough thing to figure out. But I'm kind of with you. I'm thinking that it's probably not going to have a major impact, or at least not benefit like one side of the draw versus the other enough to make it worth a while. So I do have a lot of my bets already loaded for the week. Last year, if you remember, I forgot until I was putting my notes together for the show, was that we had a 6-man playoff last year. You had Russell Henley leading after each of the first 3 rounds. Then he collapses on Sunday, misses a short putt on 18 to then miss the playoff. That would have been 17. So Henley finished 1 shot back and didn't even finish top 5. He was tied for 7. So there were 6 people in that playoff last year. It was quite incredible, but I doubt we'll see that again. The one thing I wanted to add in for this week, because we know what this week is. This is the play-in game, right? This is the round of the first 4, if you will, in the NCAA tournament. You got all the guys that are on the cusp that need the points, that got to get into this field. So the question is, what do you do with those guys? Is the motivation enough of a factor to make a difference? And I found some cool information that I thought was worth sharing. So each of the last 3 years, okay, 2019, 2020, 2021, guys ranked 120th to 130th. So there's 11 people in that category. In 2019, 8 of 11 made the cut, but only 3 were in the top 40 and 2 in the top 13. Okay. 2020, only 5 of 11 made the cut, and only 2 of them in the top 40. They both happen to be top 10s, though. 2021, last year, 6 of 11 made the cut, 4 of them finishing in the top 30, 2 in the top 15. So what I guess I expected to see more of was more of them making the cut it's not that much over 50% of those players made the cut. And I guess it just kind of proves that, motivation alone isn't enough to get you over the hump. And really, it makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, the guys have been borderline all year. So why just because they need to play well, will they all of a sudden be able to turn it on? So to me, I had looked at or thought about looking at, taking some of those guys and maybe looking at a top 40 type of a bet or something like that. But I actually think if you can look at the made cut lines, and it's over 40% that those 11 players, have missed the cut. So if you can get a decent plus money price on any of those guys right in there to miss the cut, it might be worth taking it if you have a good feeling on some of those guys not to play well this week, and you get a decent return, because you would think the motivation is there for them to make the cut, and you would expect that to be the case, but history has proven that they still stink. So it doesn't matter that it's the last event of the season, they still stink. So we'll move on into this week. As I mentioned already, I'm going to stick with the tried and true formula. I'm going to stick with the formula that's got us to this 46th and final PGA Tour event of the season. I'm sticking in the top 10, Andy. I'm looking at an outright play this week. Going back to the well, Sungjae Im is going to win this week because Tony Finau is not in the field. It's simple. He's going to win. Finau's not there. Otherwise, he'd be looking at back-to-back wins if it wasn't for Finau. But that was an important result for him. I mean, he had been battling a back injury. We saw him miss 2 of his previous 3 cuts, and the one that he did make the cut was the Open Championship. He finished tied for 81st. So I think that was a big stepping stone for Sungjae and his health and just his confidence to finish runner-up like that. But I mean, Im, he's a proven workhorse in the PGA Tour. There was 2 seasons ago. I don't think he took a week off. But he is trying to figure out how to juggle his schedule around better now as he's aging at 23 or 24, whatever he is. But before his 3, I guess call them bad events, he was inside the top 21 in 5 straight events before that injury. All his rankings this year are very good. Number 11 strokes gained off the tee, which Finau has proven the last 2 weeks that off the tee game can be all you need. I mean, not all you need, but a big key to victory. So that's important. He also ranks number 6 strokes gained around the green, number 10 tee to green, number 12 overall. And then he's made the cut in all 3 starts here at Sedgefield. 2 top 10s, scoring average of 66.4. No reason to think he won't go low again. He is one of the favorites for good reason. 18-1 right now, bet 365 is good price on him. So I'm going to go Sungjae Im as one of my outright plays. Andy, let's turn it over to you. Let's talk about the players you're going to be avoiding this week. So guys that can trip you up.
Well, you mentioned the huge playoff last year, and one of the reasons I remember it is our friend and colleague Dave Koken. I don't know if you remember this. He had Roger Sloan as an outright, and it was like 250-1 or something. And all of a sudden, Roger Sloan is in a playoff with all those guys. So I do remember. I remember that playoff. All right, guys, that can trip you up. I feel like I did pretty good last week. Watered down field. So don't trust Will Zalatoris at his price. He was 20th. Adam Scott was 37th. Max Homa was 24th. These guys vastly undervalued or underperformed their price. And listen, easy tournament that requires lights out putting. Got to fade Will Zalatoris once again. He's the favorite this week, and he's just proven over and over again he's overpriced on these easy tournaments. Tied for 20th. We just keep saying that his putting is not good enough to go low last week in that bad field. Nick, 54th in putting last week. That is just unacceptable for a guy with his talent. He finished 13 shots behind the winner. So this week we got another weak field. Easy course. He's the betting favorite. So he has to win to return value, and he just hasn't shown he can do it on courses like this. So this is a pretty easy stay away for Will Zalatoris. Second, we've got a guy that is just having a pretty bad year, and you got to wonder if he's kind of on the downturn of his career is Webb Simpson. I know his history at this tournament is incredible. A slew of top 10 finishes. Nick, you have to go back to the RSM Classic in November of 2021 to find his last top 10 finish. That is 15 straight tournaments with no finishes better than 13th, and he's the second highest betting favorite this week. He's 131st in greens and regulation this year, 103rd in putting. No chance I'm getting to the window with Webb Simpson involved in any of my bets. And last, Billy Horschel, I'm going to stay away from, and I think he could trip you up because he's a bigger name compared to a lot in this field, and he had the win at the Memorial, but it's such an outlier. He surrounded that with a 21st, a 68th, and 3 missed cuts. I just don't trust him as he's the 5th highest betting favorite. I know he has pretty good course history here, but he did not play the tournament last year. And over the last 3 months, he's only plus 0.06 on strokes gained on approach. I mentioned that's an important stat for me this week. He's tied with guys like Ches Reavie for total strokes gained this week in the last 3 months. And he does this recently where he plays better early in the year and then he fades. So I want to bring this up about Billy Horschel. I bet this is going to surprise a lot of people. So I started with the match play. Okay, if you can picture what time of year the match play is. So in the last 3 years, in 2022, we'll start there. Since the match play, Billy Horschel has won top 10 in 7 tournaments. In 2021, no top 10s in 10 tournaments after the match play until you get to the Tour Championship where he finished 9th, but that's, such a small field. And in 2020, he only had 2 top 10s in 11 tournaments since the match play. So it's like there's something that goes on. I don't know if it's where they play. Like he likes that Florida swing. We know that. But for whatever reason, he just kind of fades as the year goes on. I don't see any upside. And when I go through these stats about how he's struggling to finish in the top 10, no way I'm going to be betting on him when he is the 5th highest betting favorite. So no chance these guys are in my DraftKings lineup, and no chance I'm betting them, especially in like top 10s and top 20s. And I'm certainly not betting on them in head-to-head. So Will Zalatoris, Webb Simpson, Billy Horschel, 3 guys that can trip you up this week.
I always say you take the toughest segment of the show by, grabbing the favorites and trying to avoid them. And you're right. Will Zalatoris, if the winning score is going to be 5 under, bet on Willie Z. Anything higher than that,
Yeah,
do not bet on Willie Z. And Webb Simpson, I think it might have been the John Deere Classic, the weakest field that we've seen in a while. It definitely was the John Deere Classic. He was the highest ranked golfer in the field. He ranks 55 or something, and he was the betting favorite there, and he didn't make the cut. So I agree with you 100% on Webb. Yeah, and Billy though, he's the only one I do think he might have a decent week this week. One thing I forgot to mention during our breakdown of this particular course is that randomly, maybe not randomly, we've been playing, outside of the Florida swing, it's been all back up to basically bent grass green everywhere. This is the first tournament that goes back to full Bermuda tee to green, and that is a change for a lot of these guys. And maybe that's why Billy likes Florida, is a lot of Bermuda down there. I don't know. Just something to mention. But I do agree 100% on the first 2. I don't know yet on Billy Ho. I might not, be on him this week, but I don't necessarily know if I'll be an auto fade. But the other 2, 100% agreement with. So definitely some good advice from you there, Andy. Thank you. I'm going to go back to another outright play this week since I didn't do so well in my matchup last week. Cantley over Finau. I'm going to try another guy that has great course history here at Sedgefield, and that is Si Woo Kim, who broke through for his first PGA Tour win here back in 2016. And while he's technically outside the top 10 strokes gained over the last 6 months, he isn't too far behind. He ranks number 16 in this field. But his history here is it's really nothing short of remarkable. I mentioned his win, but over the last 3 starts, the last 3 years, he's finished in the top 5, Andy, in each of those starts with a combined score of 47 under par. So clearly the guy likes this place. And he's actually playing well coming in. He's off back-to-back top 15 finishes last week at the Rocket Mortgage, and then his previous start before that was at the Open Championship. He has 3 tour wins in his career. Okay, one of them was the Players, which that was definitely an anomaly. But the other 2 came with winning scores of 21 under and 23 under. So I only mention that because we know this week is going to be a very low-scoring event. So it's good to see that a guy has proven he can win with when you need to make 50 birdies over the course of 4 days. So Siwoo Kim, good history, coming in hot, proven record with courses that that you have to go low on, and he tends to play well at the same venue, obviously with his record here. And even like the American Express, he's won before there. He had another good showing this year, finishing tied for 11th. So he kind of tends to show up at the same events all the time. And if nothing else, I expect him to be there on the weekend. So if you don't want to take him on the outright, He's only missed a cut 5 times in 26 starts, Andy, this year, and he's finished inside the top 25 11 times. So top 20 right now on him is plus 150. So that's a pretty attractive price to me as well. But Siwoo Kim, I think, is a good guy to get your money on this week. Let's go back to you for your DraftKings Darlings. So who are you looking at for your daily fantasy, and how are you setting up your lineups this week?
Well, I will just confess, last week I would have had a pretty good lineup, because on the show I gave out my lineup where I gave out a bunch of lower price guys so I could put Patrick Cantlay and Tony Finau in my lineup. And about an hour after the tournament started, I looked and realized I accidentally clicked on Will Zalatoris and not Tony Finau, because they were right
I'm
next
sorry,
to
that's
each
not
other.
funny, but it's funny.
So I'm just giving myself a gigantic L for not being able to. I would have had 1 and 2, and so somehow I messed that up. So normally I give out a couple of DraftKings Darlings. I'm going to go out and give out my whole lineup here, because I went with 4 players, 7,800 or less. Then I went with a little bit of a middle of the road guy, and then a big name guy here. And you and I are on the same page here. So I'll start with lower priced guys, and I'll start with Taylor Moore at 7,300. 5 straight made cuts. That is second best in this field. The leader has 6 straight made cuts. So anytime you're 7,300, you got 5 straight made cuts in a row. You got my attention. He was 6th last week at an easy course. So he's shown that he can go low on easier courses last week. So give me Taylor Moore. Then I'll go with, I don't think we've mentioned him, but Chris Gotterup is kind of making a little bit of noise. He's been making some cuts. He's 7,600. I mentioned the leader has 6 straight made cuts. Well, here he is, 6 made cuts, 8 in his last 8 tournaments for Gotterup, including 7th at Puerto Rico and 4th at the John Deere. So he does have a little bit of upside. I'm not certainly predicting a top 10 finish, but he's a guy that has been consistently making cuts and can go low. Next, I'm going to go with Adam Long, 7,700. 4 top 25 finishes in a row. That's going to get my attention for a guy at 7,700. And Scott Stallings at 7,800 is going to round out kind of my lower price guys. He's finished last 3 finishes, 10th, 8th, and 4th. So great value if he extends that streak into another top 10. And you already mentioned him, Siwoo Kim at 8,800 might be the best price guy. Yeah, just for his course history here. But also, along with everything you mentioned, I like that he's finished 14th and 15th the last 2 weeks at easier courses. We talked about Zalatoris and how he can't go low on, these easy courses. I like guys like Siwoo Kim that can. And then of the big name guys, Nick, I'm with you. Sung J M, to me, is if you're going to look for a big name guy and a higher price guy, this is the one. I think he's recovered from the back injury. I got a really good look at him because I had that bet on Tony Finau as Sung J M. So I got to watch a lot of his shots. He looked very confident. Has 2 top 9 finishes the last 3 years here. You went over that. So Taylor Moore, Gotterup, Adam Long, Scott Stallings, Siwoo Kim, and Sung J M. That's my full lineup and my best DraftKings lineup for this week.
Excellent. Strong lineup for sure. And you're right about Gotterup. He reminds me of like the attention Zalatoris was getting as a rookie, because he officially got his card now. So I'm sure we will be talking about him quite a bit in future weeks. But I really haven't got behind him yet, but it will come, I'm sure. So good luck with your DraftKings lineup there, Andy. Let's get into our best bets for the show. I will mention mine first. I've been doing the top 40s a lot. Last week, Chesson Hadley did not make the cut. It was a little bit of a stretch. He had been playing well. He was plus 190. I liked his price, but he did not show up for me there. This week, I'll go with a guy I think that I think has got a much better chance. He's priced, at least according to the books, like he's likely to do it at minus 125, and that is Sebastian Munoz, who I did mention. He is in the top 10 strokes gain graphic coming in, and he's just been quiet, very consistently quiet. He plays well. He's made the cut 16 to 22 events this year. More recently, he's been finishing higher on the leaderboard as he's finished inside the top 40 Andy, in 10 of his last 14 starts. So he does, like I said, quietly have a good track record finishing in the money here. Includes a tie for 14th at the U.S. Open, which, of course, is a complete opposite type of tournament that we're going to see this week. But perhaps more importantly, he did finish tied for third at the Byron Nelson at 24 under par. So there's a little indicator that he can go low when needed to. But the best indicator that he can go low is he's now twice this year, Andy, shot 60 in the opening round of a PGA Tour event. Twice. So nobody's broken 60 yet. He's done it twice in the first round this year. Pretty impressive. Who knows? He might have another one in his bag this week. He ranks number 6, as I mentioned, in the field. Strokes gained over the last 6 months, gaining strokes in all 5 categories. So everywhere his game looks to be pretty good. And he's gotten better at Sedgefield each year. So he does have some history here. His last year finish was a tie for 29. So trending in the right direction, especially when he goes top 40, minus 125, I think is a pretty good price. Andy, your best bet of the week, what are you looking at?
I don't even think I need to give out this many stats for this play because we've already covered it. But it's Sung J M over Will Zalatoris. I went over, why we're fading Zalatoris. I mean, even last year, Zalatoris 29th in a weak field. This is just over and over again. You bet on Zalatoris at the really hard courses. You fade him at the easy ones. We went over Sung J M. I do believe, Nick, you're 100% right. He seemed to be over his back injury, and I think this is a really, really good tournament for him to kind of get one more solid tournament under his belt before we go into the championship. And Zalatoris, he didn't seem that motivated last week. Not sure why he's going to be motivated this week. He's really coming across as a guy that cares about the really big ones where the spotlight is on. So when I'm looking at these big name guys, Sung J M stands out as the one I want to support. Zalatoris stands out as one that I want to fade. We're getting a great price on it. So this was, after doing all my write-ups and I saw this matchup, this was a no-brainer for me. So best bet for the show, Sung J M over Will Zalatoris.
I like that play. And I am really surprised, that Zalatoris is even in this field. I figured he'd be, really resting to gear up for the FedEx Cup playoffs, given his standings, which is good right now. So I like the bet, Andy. Let's end the show talking about the winning score for this week. Once again, you beat me last week. I thought maybe one day there would be a little bit of something to kind of trip these guys up, but I've realized that all it takes is one guy just to be red hot for 4 straight days, and that's it. I mean, Finau won big, so that's all it took. Otherwise, I think I might have been right there. So what's that number going to be this week? Is it going to be similar to last week? What was Finau, 26? Is it going to be right up there again this week?
Well, what's interesting is now Finau has kind of blown away the field. So I feel like he's not in this field. So do we need to knock a couple shots off of it? The weather's going to be a big issue. Does the course get oversaturated? Do you get no roll off of the drives, or does it end up being tough rough because maybe the rough is a little bit wet? So they're hovering right around this minus 20 score. I'm going to go a little bit lower than that. I think the weather, the rain could cause a little bit of wet conditions. We could take a few shots. I'm going to go surprisingly low, and I'm going to go with minus 17 as the winning score.
Wow. Okay. That gives me a little room for error. I'll go with what 5 of the last 6 have gotten to at least, and that is 21 under par. I'll stick with that one. Make it 6 or 7, get into at least that number. I guess if we get to 19, we both can go out for ice cream together. But I'll go 21 under par, and we'll see what happens this week. But either way, plenty of birdies, I'm sure. Andy, I always love doing the show with you. Let's mention our promo for this week before we sign off, and that is, again, this week's tournament pack. You can grab for just $19. Get all the plays from Andy or myself for just $19. Or forget that. Get the rest of the season. You got 4 tournaments left, 3 playoff events, $49. Normally, 30-day golf pass is priced at $99. So use use FedEx 50. Save $50 off that regular price. So get the last 4 weeks of the season for just $49. It'll include all 5% plays that we threw out, which were combined 5-0 the last couple of weeks. So we will no doubt have a couple during that stretch as we get into those playoff events. So check that out if you're interested in golf for the rest of the season, and that'll get you right into the NFL. So it's a perfect warm-up to get you going for football coming back soon. So, Andy, I want to, as always, say thank you for coming on and joining me for the golf breakdown. Can't wait to talk again next week. I may be broadcasting live from another country, so that'll be a lot of fun. It might be 11 o'clock or whatever. It might just be a weird time of the day over in Ireland where I'm going, but I can't wait to do that show with you. As always, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button, and we will see you guys next week for the beginning of the FedEx Cup playoffs.
Did you know that from 2017 to 2020, Wager Talk charged $795 for a season of either college football or NFL? Well, we know how important our season-long customers are, and we want to increase the amount of money you save by committing a season-long package. While most of our competitors continue to raise their prices, we are doing the exact opposite. We've lowered our price for both the NFL season and the college football season to only $5.99 each. But through Sunday, August 14th, we are offering an early bird special, saving you an additional $100, making your NFL or college football season only $4.99. That's under $23 per week. Make sure to take advantage of the early bird prices before midnight, Sunday, August 14th, as they will return to the still low price of $5.99 per sport per season. You know the NFL preseason is already underway, and the college football season kicks off Saturday, August 27th. There is no coupon needed and no limit to the number of packages you can buy. Just head to your favorite handicappers page and take advantage today.